This is Earnings Preview, a look at companies reporting during the week, along with companies which may have positive or negative earnings surprises. This earnings preview is for the week of March 9th through the 13th. Charles Rotblatt, our senior market analyst at Zacks.com, here to elaborate on it with us, for us. Earnings-wise, we're in between reporting periods, and so there's not much going on.
There's not. We'll have a few companies reporting, really a couple stragglers, companies that typically report late, Staples. We got Kroger, National Semiconductor, Paul Corporation. But by and large, we are between earnings seasons, so we're looking at several weeks of really a light earnings calendar. Nothing to worry about, really no direct impact on the market in terms of earnings driving the prices in either direction or the lack thereof driving prices in either direction. It's just something that we see calendar-wise. Most companies operate on a traditional calendar quarter basis. Now that
the focus of attention seems to be shifting in between these reporting periods, back over to financials and economics, do you think that this next earnings reporting season is going to be overshadowed somewhat by all of what's going on in those areas?
It should be interesting to see what happens. Everybody is expecting bad news. Estimates are being cut across the board. The question with first quarter GDP is not, is it going to be down, but how much did we contract by? And that's a big wild card. But it's interesting. I think when you now look at this period of a lull between earnings seasons, we're going to start getting into an area where it's going to be very event-driven, very sentiment-driven, and that's where things get very interesting. And this upcoming week's going to be very interesting because we really don't have much on the economic calendar, don't have much in terms of earnings, and so now you're looking at things. You're looking at the White House, you're looking at what's going on with Citigroup, with GM, Bank of America, and you're wondering how is all this going to affect on sentiment, and being that the markets are oversold on a technical basis. And I should add, while I'm saying all this, we are recording on Thursday, not Friday, so we haven't seen the latest unemployment numbers or the reaction to them. But I think when you look at next week, the question is how are traders going to look at all this and how are they going to react? The markets are definitely oversold on a technical basis. They've been oversold for a couple of weeks. I kind of thought we'd get a short-term bounce because even in a bear market, stocks don't go straight down. You usually have a little bit of a bounce before you go lower. That hasn't happened. So it's really anybody's guess on how stocks are going to trade over the next week. Certainly if we get some bad news, it could spook investors even more, send us to lower lows. Suddenly my target of 6,300 for the Dow isn't that far off anymore.
And we were all kind of like, laughing at him behind his back because it was 6,300.
Yeah, of all the things to be right about, that's not one I wanted to be correct about.
And ironically, today, March 5th, I even read something where one analyst is saying that it would not be impossible to see the Dow at 4,000. So,
well, I did see Stephen Colbert on Wednesday night talk about Dow. I think actually Dow 200. So, but
man, you remember years ago when Dow 3,000 was a big deal?
Yeah. So we're not going down to 200, but definitely if we go past 6,300, there's a support level around 5,600. Percentage-wise, that's not that big a change. And so, although as scary as that number sounds, it's all relative to where we're at right now. Hopefully we won't get there. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but we'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah, and you've heard me say it before, these things could change minute by minute anymore. We just we don't know.
Absolutely.
And in your text piece, you're going to grace us with some earnings surprises, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right. We won't know at this point whether they're to the upside or the downside. We will ask you to go to Zacks.com and find out the answer to that question, as uncertainty remains the watchword for earnings, for the markets, for the economy. With Charles Rotblatt, I'm Terry Ruffalo.